What's up everybody, Manny from Motomillion. Welcome back to the SP2 series. If you can't tell, we're going to be installing our full titanium Akrapovic exhaust system on this beautiful bike. And then we're going to put our BrenTuning flash, and when possible we're going to hit back the dyno, because if you watched the last episode, we put this bike on the dyno to get some power figures for the stock bike. And the stock bike put down a very respectable 195 horsepower at the rear wheel. Now I got to take this thing all apart, because that's what it requires to change an exhaust on these things, and put our beautiful exhaust on. So less talking, more working, let's get to it. You guys will see in a minute once I get the fairings off. The rear header is not an issue whatsoever. It's the front header that's the main problem. If you guys aren't familiar with an exhaust change, a full exhaust change on a V4 platform, there's very little room in that front of the bike, but I'm sure we'll get it done. Now I'm gonna spill the beans. This bike is gonna go full carbon with a livery. We don't know what livery yet, you gotta stay tuned for that, but we already have all the carbon fiber pieces. It's gonna get the subframe and everything else other than the tank, obviously. And there's a surprise piece that I'm not gonna tell you guys. I've never seen it on a V4, and if it could pull it off, I think it's gonna be cool. It's an idea in my head that we started working on. And once we get there, you guys will see. Come take a look. This is the reason why that front header is so much fun. There's the header. You gotta take the heat shielding off of it. I usually don't move the radiator. I've done it a bunch of times that I just remove the fans, but I don't know, let's see. I told you we're gonna drop some bolts. So first I'm gonna try to tackle the front header. The back one's fairly easy. Once you remove the tank, you got a lot of room to work with. And I'm gonna start taking the bracket off, which holds this front fairing piece and also the radiator, so we move it forward and I'll see. I might need Hector from that side. So the front heat shielding is now free. It's going to allow us to get to these bolts. Hopefully without moving anything around, we should be able to loosen that front header. Then I'm going to jump to the back header. So I have to take the tank off, get a bunch of stuff off over here. Then we'll take the exhaust canister off, the muffler, and we'll be golden. Let's see. So I couldn't resist and I opened the box because I was just trying to see if there's instructions on there. I just don't know what parts we're keeping and what parts we're not, because even though I've installed the Akrapovic full exhaust systems on the V4 before, it's never been this one that's Undertail. But I think we do have a really nice booklet here. Holy cow, I think this is probably multiple languages, but this is the install instructions. I just want to take a look to see what we got to remove, if I could find it. Let's take a look at this. In this instructions, they want you to remove the front wheel, the radiators. We've already passed this part right now. I'm at the servo motor. We're no longer going to need this. Lower the bike so we could remove the tank. Pretty heavy, guys, or I'm getting weak as I get older. Fuel tank is out. We gain access to all these bolts here. 6 bolts I gotta loosen here. The first one was pretty straightforward. The second one is not so straightforward. The third one is not going to be straightforward. I'm going to need some swivel sockets. This is out. Ta-da! This is out. I think video title is going to be up close and personal with the Panigale V4 SP2. There we go. Done. You've won half the battle, right? We got our scale out. We're gonna zero it out. Look, it's zeroed out with this bin in here. In case you guys wonder what the bin weighs. The bin actually is a lot heavier than I thought. It's 5 pounds. This one. What does it weigh? 25.6. These are all the bolts and stuff and the brackets that are in here. So 18.4. It's around 7.2 pounds lighter. Don't forget, guys, this is actually a heavier exhaust system than the underbody one. The one that sits down here, the Akrapovic exhaust, weighs a little less than this. But this looks more like a World Superbike exhaust that they run on these things. And I don't know, I think it's gonna sound sweet. We haven't heard it yet. I've never heard one in person yet, so we're gonna find out in a couple minutes. YouTube time. It's gonna be probably an hour or so in real time. Here's a pretty cool fact. This is 3D printed titanium. This way the flanges match the exhaust ports, and also to get this tricky shape, it's kind of hard to bend a piece of metal. So they make this 3D printed with a completely smooth inner surface. That way this is, you know, gives you the best flow properties. And this is usually why Akrapovic is known to be the top of the line exhaust system, because they do things like this, which almost no other manufacturer does. The only thing that I realized that they don't give you the anti-seize. Neither do they mention to put anti-seize on there. But luckily we have some tubes of this titanium anti-seize, so that we could, if we ever want to take this stuff apart, we could take it apart, because once you put some heat through the exhaust, all these slip joints that you see on the exhaust systems, they get pretty tight and they almost become impossible to take it off. So this is going to make it easier in case if it ever has to come apart. So the instructions say to put it all together, but since we did not take the oil cooler out, we are improvising. Ta-da! Question is, how are we going to tighten it?
That's it, we're done. Here we're not too far off. We're almost all the way in here.
You got it on?
Yeah.
Beautiful. See, now you see the engine. Cool. Lights out. So guys, we got light. If you didn't realize, it was getting pretty late and dark last night. I actually stayed up late working on this bike. We did remove these covers off the engine. I kind of like to see the engine. It does add a little bit of heat when you do this. So, but I really like the way it looks, and I never ride without gear. The gear kind of helps with the heat. Other than that, I got the rear fender on. That's supplied by the exhaust. I just finished changing the charger plug to the C-Tech lithium plug. so that we could run our C-Tech lithium battery tender charges, because it has a lithium battery too. And so as far as it goes, this bike is ready for the Undertail exhaust to be mounted on. All the heat shields are on here. We did get the tank on. All the wires are routed. We put everything back in the front. So all the fans, everything is done. All the wires are routed correctly as they should. Also, this heat shield cover is off of here from the valve cover. So now I'm going to keep buttoning the bike back up. We're waiting for Brendan from BrenTuning to send us a flash file. I sent him the stock file last night. Once I have the flash file, we're going to flash it. Then hopefully you guys will hear the first start. I'm pretty excited about it too, so let's get to it. By now, you guys who watch us regularly are probably familiar with this tool. This is the handheld device by BrenTuning. This is a Euro 5 plug for the Ducati people. It's always a question. We do have the pictures of it. The one that has 6 pins is a Euro 5. The one that has 4 pins is a Euro 4. Also, I connected the bike to the C-Tech charger. The charge is plugged in. I always advise anyone who's flashing their bikes to plug it in. You don't want a voltage drop or anything like that when you're doing this. Now, the same as always, you'll go through the processes, writing Motomillion SP2. This is our file. I'm going to go through this, and then once this is done, we'll start with the muffler install, and we'll make some noise. Now is the time to reveal these mufflers. Let's get something that we can't scratch anything with. The other side, it's got DB killers inside. We're definitely going to remove the DB killers, guys. Okay, first start. I think everything is good to go. We did flash the bike. Let me lower it a little bit just to make sure we see any of the check engine lights or anything like that that may come on, which it shouldn't, but you never know. Here you go, guys. DB killer is on. We haven't removed them yet. First start. There you go, guys. I think because of the echo. The dry clutch might be a little louder than the exhaust, and don't forget we have the DB killers on. It is smoking quite a bit because we gave it a really good rub down of the WD-40. I'm gonna let it cool down a little bit. There's no check engine lights. Everything is working as it should. We're gonna let it cool down, pull these DB killers off, give it another start. This is the pretty tiny DB killers, and also it has some sort of a direction that it gives to the exhaust gases. There we go. Came off. I just noticed something when I grabbed both the DB killers. This one came out of the right side of the bike, this one on the left side. The left side wasn't coming out that easy. I think this is the reason. If you take a look, one is longer, one is shorter. Again, they engineer the sounds of these things, so there is a reason for this. But what I was thinking is, I really like the look of the mesh. If it's not a big difference in the sound, I might just pop these back in, but if there's a big difference, I might just cut these out and just so that I could put the mesh on it and just bolt them on, but we'll see. Let's give it another start. Let's see how it sounds without these DB killers. Definitely louder, and on the low revs I was only revving it about to 4,000 RPM. On the low revs it seems like it's a little more throatier. So I think the consensus right now is DB killers off. We'll fiddle around with the other stuff with keeping the mesh on and stuff afterwards. And let me show you guys something right here. This is a question we get a lot with a lot of the slip-ons or some of the full systems. There's always a dent if your slip-on sits here, as it does with the Termes, or if your pipes are in the way, there's a dent in here. I call it a power dent, and I always wonder how they get it at the right place. But it is in place so that you could get to the kickstand if you ever have to. The nut that's behind that kickstand bolt. And that was the last fairing bolt, guys. The final piece of the puzzle. And that's it. The exhaust install is done just like this, and a flash. What I got to do is I got to put the sprint filter that comes with it. So all you skeptical people, this is a Ducati part number as you see, but inside is a sprint filter. And we're going to put it in. It's a part of the package for the exhaust system. And I think I'm going to roll it off of the lift and then put this on, because it's easier to move the wheel, and obviously we can't do that when it's on here. But let me put this on, let me roll it off. We have a video on how to install this. Let me get this bike wiped down, and you know, let's let it hit the pavement so that we can make some noise on the pavement. So So guys, here it is, the wheelbarrow exhaust. And Hector made a funny joke. He likes to pick on me. You know what he said? He said, why is it called a wheelbarrow? When your Ducati brakes, you can push it easier. But all jokes aside, this thing sounds amazing. Once I get geared up, we'll make another separate video of sounds of this bike on the road, maybe some flybys if you can find a safe enough road to do so. Until then, I'll just rev it a little here. It's fully warmed up already. And as always, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Until next time, guys, enjoy the sound. Cool. Fans are on.